This factoring video is going to review the technique of factoring trinomials by grouping, which is an alternative method to the trial and error. And this might be your preferred method. It might be something you're more comfortable doing. You might not recognize the word grouping, but hopefully when you see the process and how it's done, that might make more sense. So we are going to multiply the first and the last term. So it's going to give we're going to be doing the same thing. We're looking for numbers that will add up to that middle number specifically, but we can do this off to the side. So we're going to, instead of doing the loops, we're going to do it here. So I'll put the 50 on the side, and then we're going to look at our factors of 50. We can do 50 and 1. We can do 25 and 2. We can do 5 and 10. Now we're going to look at the side here to see which ones will give us that 27. We're looking for adding, and we're looking for negative 27. So 50 plus 1 is 51. That's no good. Now again, if I'm looking for, this one does give me 27 if I add them together, but if I'm looking for negative 27, I would need both of these to be negative. Negative 25 minus 2 would give me negative 27. So this is the combo that I'm looking for. And those two numbers are actually going to break apart this middle term. So we'll rewrite this as 5x squared minus 25x minus 2x and then plus 10. So we haven't really done anything except rewrite the problem. It's almost actually backwards of foiling in this method. Then we're going to group together the first two terms and the second two terms. Technically, there's a plus sign in here. It doesn't really matter if you understand the process next, but you do want to group that negative sign in with the second parentheses. And we're going to do GCF work here. So we'll take the GCF out of the first parentheses, which is a 5x, and then we're left with x minus 5. Your goal is to get the identical parentheses, this blue shows up, in the second factoring. So sometimes I work backwards and I say, okay, I want x minus 5. What do I have to pull out to make that happen, especially when there's a negative? So notice we have a 2, 10, 2 goes into both, so we pull out the 2. But in order to switch the signs, we need that to be a negative 2. Because if you divide this by negative 2 and this by negative 2, it will switch the signs to come up with that blue parentheses. Now, a lot of people will just write the numbers in front as your first parentheses and the other one as the second. When I actually do grouping, I put that x minus 5 first. It does not matter to me as long as you recognize that those are giving you your two parentheses. So you could have it that order, or you could have 5x minus 2 times x minus 5, whatever makes more sense to you, but this is a method to get you those two parentheses using GCF. And actually doing the work off to the side. So it really doesn't matter the adding, subtracting, except that you have to look at that when you're working on this side thing here. So if this method seems familiar to you and you want to look at a couple more examples, let's move on and do another one. We're going to do 3 times 24. So we'll do, and it's negative, so be careful. We'll want negative 72. And I would do that just to remind you that we're going to be working with subtraction now. And then, okay, 72, what are some options here? We can do 72 and 1. That's obviously too far apart. We could do 36 and 2. And I just kind of go through each of them, 24 and 3. So notice I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can stop when you recognize one works. I could keep going. There's a lot of factors of this. So the one drawback of this method is you will get larger numbers here, which will then mean more factors. But it's a little easier for the right set of factors to pop out for you. So we're looking to get a positive 14. Obviously, subtracting any of these is not going to work. 18 minus 4 does give us that positive 14, and we want the positive 14 from the middle, so we're going to go with that. We'll break it apart. 3x squared plus 18x minus 4x minus 24. And actually, it doesn't matter what order. I could put the minus 4x and then the plus 18x. I like this because it forces me to work with the negative again in the second example, so I think that's good. So we'll group these together, take out our GCFs again though. So GCF from the first is 3x. That will leave us with x plus 6. And then again, our goal is to get x plus 6 in that second parentheses. So we will have to pull out the negative with the 4. And if it's all adding, then you wouldn't have to pull the negative. You just want to make sure there's a plus sign there. And then it would be 3x minus 4 times x plus 6 would be your final answer. So if you really look at both methods, both take equal amount of thought process work. It's just a different approach. This is a little bit more writing. If you can handle that and you like this, then you can definitely stick with this. All right, in the third example, I tried to keep the examples the same as the other video, just to give you the same kind of background. We're going to multiply 7 and 20. Again, big number. And you can go through all the factors. Now, I could start here. These are very big. You can kind of like narrow it down, but if you're not sure, then you just kind of go through and you just go through and work through 70 and 2. Obviously, that's too big, and keep going. So 35 and 4. I was actually going to go lower because you have the 0 there and do 14 and 10, which obviously is not going to work. That's in the 20s. There's more than that. But once I can stop when I see one that works, because in this method, I'm not doing trial and error. I'm just trying to find one that adds up. So here are all my adding. Obviously, these first two are no good. Once I get to the 35 and the 4, 35 plus 4 is 39. So I'm good. So I'll have 7a squared plus 35a plus 4a plus 20. Group that, 2 and 2. Now notice I left the plus sign out. I could put it in. It doesn't really matter because it's going to be adding. Here I take out 7a, and then I'm left with a plus 5. And if I take a positive 4 out of the other one, just make sure to include the sign because you need that for the parentheses. Shouldn't put that underneath. It looks like plus minus. I do get a plus 5 in the second parentheses, and then my final answer, 7a plus 4 times a plus 5. Or the opposite order, does not really matter. All right, so I'm going to stop there. We did 3 examples with this method. Hopefully that helps remind you, if this is the method that you chose, how to do the factoring so that you're able to do that review practice that you need to do.